We are live, and I'm getting prepared for, of course, this man and his compatriots in terms of the West Indies tour of India. It's all going to go off here because my name's Avnish Shaikde. We have Somesh Agarwal and Crick Crazy Nixon, his best name, Nikhil Popa, I should say. And all you guys joining us right now, give us a quick like before we start this video. And guys, before we get into all of it, because we're going to be previewing the test series with this one, of course, I want to start with Somesh by asking him his best memory when we talk about Caribbean cricket. You've seen so many tours. I don't want to make you sound old, but which one sticks to your mind when I talk about West Indies cricket in West Indies?
If you want to, if you're going to ask me the best memory, I would say Virat's double, because if I remember correctly, that was his first double hundred in tests, right? And after that, he went on a spree and made scoring double hundred look like an easy business. But in terms of overall emotional attachment, I think there was a tour back in 2002 with Pete Lara, Pete Chanderpaul, Carl Hooper, and there was Adam Sanford, and I still remember a decision given wrong against Tendulkar as usual. So, yeah, that tour I remember as a kid, just like trying to stay awake to watch it. So that was my favorite tour, but favorite memory is of course Virat's double and the spree that it ignited.
Wonder what Nick's memories are because you mentioned the good tour there, 2002. I think we saw Zahir Khan bowl, spin, I think it was in one of the tests. I think Lakshman also bowled as well. So lots has been
Ajay
seen.
Ratra was our keeper.
Ajay Ratra was keeper. Kumble bowled with a broken jaw.
Yeah.
Nick's, which memory stands out for you?
Can't go without mentioning Dominica, 2011. Purely from the perspective of how that was actually the first time I heard various POVs and I found out okay, that's how different people treat this test cricket differently. How Indian captains in the past have been satisfied with just the series win and not wanting to win every game per se, and that visibly changed with Virat. And here we are with another captain. Let's see how he goes.
Let's
Yeah.
see how it goes. I was actually just peering to that scorecard right now that you brought it up, Nix. What, 12 years ago it was where we played the last time in Dominica, and it was the current head coach, Rahul Dravid, and Virat Kohli, the only two members part of that squad, which is still part of this squad. So let's see if it's deja vu or not. And we'll get the ball rolling because we want to show you some stats, of course, and some names in due course. But what I want to show you guys first is just a depiction of this schedule, right? So buckle up all your coffee and your hot chocolate, whatever you want to keep you up at night, because the timings do serve us well because it starts at 7:30, but it will go on to the wee hours of 3, and we'll be giving you a preview or review, I should say, every morning. So 2 tests, one in Dominica, like Nick's mentioned, and then the second test, which is a fantastic venue for test cricket, Port of Spain, Trinidad, and that comes on the 20th of July. Then 3 ODIs. Remember, it's an all-important year for ODI cricket, so India need to find their right combination, I would say, in those 3 ODIs, 2 in Barbados, and then finally concluding Trinidad, and then 5 T20s where Hardik Pandya will lead India, and that'll be fun because it will serve as a precursor to next year's World Cup. So lots more on cricket.com and the coverage for this Caribbean tour. Guys, let's start with the test series then. And it's a big question I want to ask you guys first up by looking at the test squad. So talk to me about how impressed you are. What do you like? What do you not like? We'll start from there.
Yeah, I mean, lots to like. One aspect of this tour that I feel is, paramount is this is one of those series which will be more individual driven than result driven because I mean, it's sort of obvious that India are not playing one of the very lethal sides, if I may add. Although in test matches, especially at home, West Indies are not as easy. West Indies were the team that finally resulted in Joe Root losing his captaincy and England changing their coach and adopting the baseball era. So let's not forget that. But overall, I think more than the result, the focus will be on individuals. We have a few personnel joining in uh, Yashasvi Jaiswal. First and foremost, I'm very interested to see how he will bat. Where will he bat? And then we'll come to how he will bat because there is an option of having him open and pushing Gill at 3. Talking about Shubman Gill, still needs a start. He needs some sort of momentum into his test career because as of now, there has not. He's not done as well in Test cricket as he has done in other formats of white ball cricket and the IPL. So this tour can lead to that kickstart. And of course, I mean, all eyes will be on Virat Kohli because I mean, one of the discussions that we have had earlier is he's not had a century outside the subcontinent for 5 years now. So, like I said, that double hundred kick-started his process of making double hundreds for fun. Let's see if he can get on a run scoring spree in this tour and push his Test career forward. That's one. The other aspect that I'm looking forward to is, of course, the bowling combination, because the three men who played, the main fast bowlers who played when India were there in 2019, none of them are here right now. We don't have Bumrah, you don't have Shami, don't have Ishant. So neither of those three are here. It will be a new look, sort of a pace attack. Siraj would be there. I'm interested to see if Navdeep Saini plays, and of course if Unadkat plays. But let's see how it goes. I just have a feeling that they will pick Shardul Thakur. So there'll be just one spot remaining, and it will be between Unadkat and Saini.
It'll be interesting to see if Nick, you echo those thoughts, because what we've done is just conjure up our potential playing 11. Don't shoot the messenger, but this is what we've got, Nick. And let's see if you agree or disagree with it. Talk to me about your changes in your squad for starters.
Firstly, I hope R. Ashwin plays because I don't know how they think about him. So,
Yeah, I mean,
I think,
sorry to cut
yeah.
Nikhil out. Just for our viewers, Ashwin did not play the two tests last time when India were in West Indies. They opted for 4+1 attack.
Oh, that's an important point. Yeah, go
Yeah.
on, Nick.
Yeah, so I think India will be surprised that off spinners are taking wickets in England, be it Gardner or Nathan Lyon. And I'm sorry, I'll keep harping about it because I think with the fact that the bowling lineup in whatever shape it is, you need somebody like him to not just always look for wickets, but give you some good control as well. And the wickets in these two venues may not always be conducive to pace all the time. So, which is why I think Ravi Ash becomes very, very critical for India. Otherwise, I think Ishan is going to get a look in from what you hear. So that I think is possible change there. And in the bowling front, I think pretty much agree with what Som said. They are likely to go with Siraj and Shardul, and the third call is what they may take. Very keen to see if they go with a like for like replacement for say like a Mukesh Kumar for Shami, because like with Shami you associate Lionel and bowling kind of a workhorse who keeps bowling. Now Mukesh Kumar is somebody who's done that for the state side for a long time, but so has Jaydev Unadkat. Now, do they want to go to the left arm angle? Not to forget, Jaydev can add good value with the bat as well, lower down the order. So that will just strengthen your batting lineup, which is not quite in the best in terms of run scoring from the top. So you are going to need everybody to hit runs. You can ask Wood and Vokes and England how critical it is for a. I'm not saying you need to hit 50s, but just get your team home in critical stages. So very keen to see if there is a shape in terms of how they want to look ahead at it.
So, guys, just looking at it from the offset, right? I mean, the conditions are more likely to favor the spinners. Am I getting that right? And that's why we probably see a 3-2 combination in terms of spin. So,
there is a catch. Now, in recent times, all of us know that there has been West Indies have caught on with the pace playing pandemic, where their bowlers are literally averaging the best in the world, especially when they're playing in home conditions.
correct.
Now, looking at the two venues that India are playing, which is Dominica and Port of Spain, neither of these venues have seen a test in the past 4 years. In this period, so West Indies started playing with the Duke's ball at home starting January 2019 against England. Since then, neither of these venues have hosted a test. So last time there was a test played here, it was played in 2018 in Port of Spain and 2017 in Dominica. And at that time, Devendra Bishu and everyone was still around to pick the majority of wickets for the West Indies. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. That will these venues be like the venues that we've seen across West Indies in the past 3 years, or it'll be like the olden times when the pitches were slightly drier and used to assist spin later as the test progresses. So I think it's still difficult to call, especially not being there and calling it from here.
But actually,
Okay.
you might be still be good enough because people who at times have been there have not been able to read it as well. So I think we are on the same page at all times.
No, but next, just to further his point, right? If the sun's out, traditional West Indies wicket, whatever that may be, might be probably more conducive to spin is my best bet. And say we go with Akshar, Ashwin, and Jadeja. My point to you is, do then they pick Saini and Unadkat, or does Shardul still fit in with Siraj? Sorry.
I think Shardul will fit in with Siraj in that order because I feel, in terms of progression as well, I think Shardul has gotten better. Whatever way you want to look at it in terms of his control, and he's found a way to take wickets. Now, there may be many hypotheses as to why that happens, but he has found a way. So you definitely need Siraj, the enforcer, and you need Shardul for the surprise. I don't know how else to frame it. That he'll come on and he'll do something and he'll get you wickets, maybe down the leg or whatever. I don't actually think it will suit spin because I think West Indies will be very aware of how great that Troika could be, and it could be very damaging for them. Who all they also have a few youngsters coming into their setup, so very keen to see if they do go on down that route. That let's give them something that's dry. So I expect two very good wickets to bat on with some help for pace. It may eventually dry out, but I don't expect it to be too much in favor of India because then the game becomes between Ashwin, Jadeja, Ash, and Cornwell if he plays. India may still give Cornwell 5 wickets on a flat day. That's a given. But otherwise, I think they'll probably want a better batting surface to begin with.
Okay, better batting surface. Let's see if that is actually the case. And I'm still trying to wonder how India are going to pick their team, especially the questions to be asked is Jaiswal, of course, Gaikwad. A little bit more about that, guys. Who starts for y'all? I mean, so you touched upon it. Is it because he's just a left-hander, so he naturally gets in? If you were an advocate for Gaikwad, beg your pardon, how would you defend his case?
I wouldn't.
Really?
Gaikwad is lucky to be in the squad in the first place, to be very honest. With that in mind, I think Jaiswal is a short starter, and I would be, although the decisions that India have made in the past couple of years, there's no room for surprises, but I would be bamboozled if they don't pick Jaiswal to start this test. The only question, like I said, is where will he bat? Will he open or will he bat at 3? I would.
Where do you think he should bat?
I think he should open and Gill should come down at 3.
Okay, so if Gill does bat at 3, that's a big call they have to take because then Pujara, there's no U-turn for him, right, Nix? I'm guessing.
You'd hope there won't be any. As much as I love Cheteshwar, I think you have to start the transition somewhere, and you can't always go back to the same people. They are great people. They will score runs because, again, that's what we talk about. How do you look at domestic numbers? Pujara came back to the Dulip Trophy and scored a century, but then are you going to be able to do it on the international level regularly? He scored runs in county as well. So you have to take a call somewhere. With Som on Jaiswal, I think it has to be a long-term call. And I hope they take it very much with authority and in advance that this is where we look at Jaiswal and Gill 5 years down the line. If they want Jaiswal to be at 3, 5 years down the line, keep him at 3, start him at 3. If you feel that no, Gill will be our 3 or 4, then you play him accordingly. So this is the time to start. This is probably a cleaner slate to begin with, new cycle, and the seniors that are there in the squad, the 3 seniors, you can bat them out of their position. It's fine. I mean, not Rohit, but Rahane and Virat. So I'm sure they won't move from 4, 5 as of now. So very keen to see if they go to Gill at 3 and then move him out, then it will be unfair on everybody involved. So pick one spot and give them like 10, 15 tests.
Yeah, the reason reason I say Gill should bat at 3 is because I see that the mental of batting at 4 for India is eventually going to pass to Gill a couple of years down the line. So with that in mind, I think having him at 3 and then pushing him down at 4, where I think he would have a long career, would be a.
I agree with that. And I also think, think about it, right? I'm pretty sure KL Rahul is going to get back to the side after injury because even if you open with Jaiswal in this test, he will still serve as an understudy to KL Rahul in the grander scheme of things.
I don't think so. I don't think so because
we disagree.
Because the last time KL Rahul was fit, he was dropped. So there is absolutely no reason for him to come back and take his place. This is now let's compare it to the bowlers, right?
Yeah.
Let's roll back the clock to the Melbourne Test in 2020. Saini was above Shardul in the pecking order in that particular test. Shardul was, I mean, the choice was between Saini and Shardul, and they picked Saini because he was higher in the pecking order. Is that the case today? when Saini is finally back after an injury. It's not.
Is
Today,
Saini
Shardul,
almost a replacement for someone like an Umesh?
even more than that. To be honest, I mean, maybe we'll touch upon this a little later in the show, but I would really want India to play Saini because last week we've seen what Mark Wood has done, right? And India do not really have a bowler with that kind of pace, apart from a couple of options in Saini and Umran Malik. So if they're fit, available, try them out so that when a situation arises, when you're playing a top team and you need a certain impact bowler, they're already ready. It should not be the case that Saini is in the squad for the next WTC final, but he has not played any test in the past 3 years.
But the thing with Saini is, I don't know, is he just a stopgap shoehorn selection in for two reasons? One, because there's a plethora of injuries for our pacers, and two, because of what happened with him in Worcester and that last minute cancellation. So is it almost an emotional, sentimental call to just pick him in the squad?
So you'd hope not actually, because again, like we discussed in the past, in South Africa, you missed a guy who could hit the deck, and you saw in the WTC final almost every Indian pacer had a similar kind of pace range, though. So you were not being able to surprise the opposition that way, which is why the point about Wood and how you use guys like Umran Malik and Navdeep Saini. So, and there are a lot of pacey youngsters that are there getting ready in the system. So you have to tell them that you will be the enforcer. So if they go down that route with South Africa to follow, whenever later, however later it is, it will tell Saini and all of us that this is the role that's there for Navdeep Saini. So then you pick him, groom him in that role, and make him ready. You know the final will be in England, so might as well have some variety ready for that.
No, agreed. And I fully think that they should now use this opportunity to define roles and, more importantly, identify players for formats, which we've been harping upon this channel for the longest time. But the way I see it, just going back to the batting, guys, and Nick, you mentioned there, it's almost like a brand new start. It's a blank canvas where you can paint it however you want. I keep saying that. So in terms of positions, we're assuming Jaiswal will open with Rohit, and if Gill bats at one down, essentially Pujara is done. His test career is no more. I'm guessing in terms of how musical chairs happens in Indian cricket. And more importantly, then there's more of a reason to, I don't know, play around with that number 5 spot with Iyer and Rahul if they want to come back to the test team.
Yeah, but then you have a vice captain who's recently appointed. So very keen to see how much longer that rope is, and whether that rope is thrown around to everybody else to try, or is it just another of those short-term goals? So again, we don't know. So we will only know with their selections, because I am assuming the vice captain role is kind of a security gap right now, or a security that you will get to test, and then we see where we go from here. So maybe that could be the logic. We don't know. We are only assuming. So I think eventually you will see one senior dropping off, say every 2 to 3 tests, a 2 to 3 test series in that sense. So which is why it's critical for Jaiswal and Gill to really start having a flow, especially with Gill, because Jaiswal is yet to make his debut. But Gill has had some time, and there have been certain changes that I'm sure Kema Roach has already noted that this is where I'm going to go after him, especially with the new ball. So
Yeah.
very interesting times for Gill, because he's shown that in the T20 format, where a few years back we were wondering whether he can have that consistent run at top, but he's come through that and showed that no, he has that gear to really go and make consistent runs. So this is the time now for him to make a case in the longer format of the game.
So I want to ask you about one more question with regards to Team India, maybe a couple of more. The other thing which comes to my mind is essentially there are players who are almost in the twilight of their career, entering the twilight. Jadeja, Ashwin, Rahane, Kohli, Rohit. I mean, there's so many. Do they look at this WTC cycle as a last cycle in their test careers and then kind of say goodbye?
I think this cycle would be a cycle of two halves, to be honest. The first half is these 4 tests. I think India are playing South Africa for 2 tests, not 3, if I'm not wrong, later in the year. So I think talking about all of these players, especially I'll take the case for Virat and Rahane. Uh, I I personally feel that they will be playing these 4 tests unless and until India are whitewashed in this series. If India win and both Kohli and Rahane do not perform, I think they'll still keep their spot at least till South Africa. because right now the focus of everyone is the 50 over World Cup. They don't want to rock any boat. After that, of course, South Africa, if Rohit is not fit, then you would need Rahane to lead India to South Africa, because let's not forget that's one place where India have never won a test series, and you wouldn't want to bleed a captain in that particular situation, which won't be ideal, because you never know. I mean, 4 years down the line, South Africa would be interested in to play tests or not, because they're already reduced to 2 tests. You never know. So this might be the last opportunity for India to go and win a series there. So I think this entire WTC cycle would be this 4 tests, and then whatever transition needs to happen will happen in the home season, which starts with England coming to India in 2024. That is where you will see calls taken on Kohli, Rahane, Rohit based on how things are in these 4 tests and how fit they are. Ashwin, Jadeja, I think they are in a position to take their own calls. The day they are not fit to play for India is the day they won't play for India. I don't think they'll ever be dropped.
I think Ashwin and Jadeja are simple. I think they just have to recognize the fact that they'll play every test in India till they're 45 or maybe 48. But maybe abroad in all these critical games when we actually need them, the management will be like, hey, I don't remember you. Who are you? But look, jokes apart, by the way, if you guys are liking this live, please just like that button on YouTube. And of course, press the red icon in terms of subscribe button if you guys are new, and we'll take your comments. There are lots of you guys who are chatting away. Sagar Chandra, Chachant, Mr. Charma, Noodle Hacks with Vasant. I don't know if you're Vasant Narayan, let us know all of that. But I want to ask you guys another critical question in terms of the batting makeup of Team India, and it's something we've been debating since Rishabh Pant and that terrible injury he suffered.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about number 5 options, and you said KL and Iyer. I mean, number 5 is reserved for Rishabh Pant as in when he's fit.
True, I meant in terms of the wicket-keeping mantle. I mean, right now, even who do you think it is? I mean, KS Bharat deserves another series, do you guys think? Or like, let's do away with him and get Ishan, Kishan. Which part of the fence are you guys sitting on? Next.
See, I think the WTC final would have been a very harsh place to make a debut for Ishan, which is what we discussed, and that's what happened. So, thankfully, that did not materialize in that sense. So, if at all they want to, they feel that Kishan is the guy that they have in the squad for a reason, and they want to give him a good run, then this is the time to start with him. Because if you're going to then carry a guy purely on your eye test, that he may not always have the numbers that you want from your domestic performer, there are a few keepers waiting there. So if you're saying that this is the guy, this is the time to try him out. Otherwise, just stick to KS Bharat, and then you take a call on him whenever you want to, because you also have to give it to KS that he made his debut in a tougher series. It's very hard to make your debut in a series where you are facing the now number one test side in the world. So it is never going to be easy. So whether they make of what they make of his keeping and his batting contributions, if they are looking for somebody to come in and hit the old ball like what Travis said did, or like how you saw Mitch Marsh do, so then maybe Kishan fits into that role, that okay, he may work out. Now it's a may. We don't know whether he'll work out or not. And his keeping in longer format will also be tested. So if at all they want to go down there too, South Africa is not going to be easy for Kishan as well. So you might as well try him here and then take him to South Africa or Australia, then later on the back of some runs, than giving him a debut there. So in that sense, I feel it will be Kishan. So to Southpaws to debut then for India.
Som, do you agree?
This time, I think Nikhil and I are the roles has been reversed. I wanted Kishan to play the WTC final because I did not see it as a debut or a series. It was a one-off game, and you should be playing impact players in that game. Was my suggestion, and also the fact that Ishan Kishan is a left-hander. Right now, I mean, it's a very tricky position to be, because if KS Bharat is dropped now, it's very harsh on him, because essentially he's played 5 tests all against Australia. In all of them were very difficult conditions. None of them were a flat wicket except the one in Ahmedabad, where he did score a few runs, if I'm not wrong, if my memory serves me right, because that test is erased from our minds because of how boring it was. But I think with KS Bharat and Ishan Kishan, India can go down the route of what they used to do with Rishabh Pant and Ridhiman Saha 4 years back, where all away tests where keeping is not a big challenge and where you need some impactful runs, play Ishan Kishan like they used to play Rishabh Pant back then. And whenever there is a test in India, let's say when England are coming back, and assuming Rishabh Pant is not fit in that series, might as well go with KS Bharat, who is a normal keeper. And when, in India, you'd always have those lower order batters in Akshar Patel and all who would give you those runs. So you don't necessarily need your keeper to score those runs. Whereas right now, those runs would be very, very important because they won't be an Akshar Patel in the 11.
There won't be an Akshar Patel in the 11, but just to finish up this chat, you're thinking the team management is taking a call between Bharat and Kishan based on keeping ability or batting ability? That's what many people are asking us in the comments as well.
I think, yeah, this point has come to the fore even more by seeing what Johnny Bairstow has not been able to do. The Vokes versus Carey thing, if you see, I mean, the keeping has been one of the very big reasons why England are 2-1 down, in my opinion. But I think obviously the call is to take a better keeper or a better batter. But then again, right now, both of them are specialist keepers, right? It's not the same case. In England's case, because I've taken that example, Bairstow was coming after an injury, and he is not in the white ball format. Butler keeps wickets, so Bairstow is not someone who's keeping day in day out. Whereas Ishan Kishan is your day in day out keeper. So Ishan Kishan is also a proper keeper. We are just assuming that he's not that great a keeper because I think this is something that I mentioned in the WTC preview as well, that Mumbai Indians lead the least buys in this IPL in the previous IPL. So Kishan must be a very good keeper, although we can say that they don't have very tricky spinners or their bowlers were bowling good lines. But I mean, if buys are not considered, that is a tick mark against Kishan's keeping ability.
Yeah, more on the keepers in terms of cricket.com, guys, because our colleague Hardik Vora has written a really nice piece on India's wicketkeeper and the options that we have at our disposal. I'm talking about everyone from Ricky Bui to Himanshu Mantri to everyone there. And we might make a video about it at some point in time. So watch this space and subscribe for you guys. And you, Chuchant, agreeing with us, disagreeing with us in the comments as usual. KS Bharat kept so well in the WTC final, according to Sagar Chandra. And Noodle Hacks with Vasant is Vasant Narayan Som. So we were right with our judgment over there. Let's move on. Just talk about West Indies before we bring it back to India for a bit, because I want to ask you guys, how much should we fear this West Indies team? I'm looking at their 13-man squad right now, and I'll read it out for the benefit. Craig Brathwaite, obviously the captain and open. He has been in some decent form. Jermaine Blackwood is their vice captain. Then they have some interesting new names. Alec Athanaze. I mean, he's a batting all-rounder. That's all we know of him. Tej Narayan Chandrapal needs no introduction. The son of course, a great legend that West Indies had at their disposal. Last time India played in Dominica, Shiv Narayan, the dad, was there. This time the son's going to be there. So Kohli's taken on the father and the son. There's Rakeem Cornwall, no introduction there for as well. Joshua De Silva will be playing his first ever test against India. So he was looking forward to that. He spoke in a podcast recently. And then the usual candidates in terms of bowlers, Shannon Gabriel, Jason Holder, Zari Joseph, Kemar Roach, and then they have three other men. Take your pick who'll start. Kirk McKenzie, Raymond Reefer, and Jamil Warrican. Maybe the spinner in terms of Warrican will start. So how much do we see West Indies as a challenge? So you mentioned a really good point, actually. The fact that India have never played West Indies in Test cricket with the Duke's ball. So how is that challenge going to unfold?
India have done it. Last time when India were playing in 2019, they played with the Duke's ball.
Oh, that was after they
yeah. That was in 2019 after the World Cup.
Okay.
So these venues have not seen Test cricket played with the Duke's ball, is what I said. In terms of fearing, I'll just harp back to the 2002 series. Their pace quartet then was Mervyn Dillon, Pedro Collins, Cameron Cuffey, and Adam Stanford. Adam Sanford, not Stanford.
Yeah.
Something
Sanford.
like that. The cop who became a fast bowler. I mean, no one talks about that quartet, but it was equally fearful than the other quartets we've spoken
and great
about.
Actions to imitate while growing up
over the years. And right now, you have Jason Holder, Shannon Gabriel, Alzari Joseph, and Kemar Roach. I mean, it's as good a pace combination as any. Last time when India were here, they needed lower order runs. India's leading run getters were at 5 and 6 in Ajinkya Rahane and Hanuma Vihari. Hanuma Vihari was the top scorer in that entire series, not just for India. And they also needed runs from Ravindra Jadeja and Ishan Sharma. Ishan Sharma scored a crucial 50 for India. So again, I think it's going to be the same. Lower order runs are going to be crucial because the ball will move early on. Let's see if the lower order will stand up again for India, because it is going to be very difficult for the top order to just it won't be easy.
It won't be easy. Knicks, are they a like for like attack? I mean, I know they're all right arm fast, but they have different skill sets. Alzari Joseph more hit the deck. Hima Roach, of course, can swing it really well. And Jason Holder just keeps it metronomically good. What are the main threats for Gill, Kohli, Rohit, etc.?
I think it's going to be the tempo at which they want to bat. All these bowlers offer very very different skills. Like Kima Roach is great with the new ball. Speedy guy bowls a lot more fuller. Then you have Holder who comes in only when the ball is old, but he is still accurate enough to not leave the mark. So then you have Joseph who will come in and as an enforcer, you always have Gabriel to rush you with pace. So every bowler is offering you something else, and it's not going to be easy to line them up to play at a tempo that you want to. So you can talk a lot about I want my batters to play freely, which we saw in the WTC chase. It's not going to be easy to pull it off versus this attack. So very keen to see if they have decided that okay, this is our tempo, that this is how we want to bat, because putting pressure back will be critical. Because you talk about the West Indies bowling, the West Indies batting right up top, Craig Brathwaite and Tataran Chandrapur. They too are also somebody who want to take their time because they know most of the games are going to be set up in that first hour and a half when the ball will move maybe a bit more than it does at maybe on day two or day three. So those conditions will actually dictate how they want to play. And a lot of these players have had their issues. Gill with the in swinger, Rohit has been out to the short ball very often, and Virat's insistence on wanting to play on the front foot more than backward, it will be tested. So I think every batter will have their own personal battles to fight and what tempo they want to bat. You're going to put a debutant at three, you are going to tell him to play shots. So have that expectations also in mind that he could nick off very early as well. So it is going to be very interesting to walk the talk and tell the people that this is how we want to play cricket. I think it's about time the team identifies that this is how we want to play our game, because you can't always expect runs from the lower order. They are not specialists. You are specialist batters. So it's your job to take care of the new ball. So very keen, because see that's what Usman Khwaja has done for Australia, right? When the moment is coming to the side, he's shown that you can play time and still score runs. Everybody doesn't have to always bass ball like Crawley. So very keen to see if they have found their zone and how they stick to it.
Yeah, some interesting names, and Craig Brathwaite almost is a perfect representation of what the West Indies Test team is right now. A lot of grit and determination with their batting, at least. And it makes me think with their batters more right-handers, so is that a chance for Unadkat to knock on the door a little bit more and be like, hey, look at me?
They will be looking at Unadkat. I mean, without even him reminding, because he has been part of the team for a while. Uh, a few of us, myself included, wanted Unadkat to be in the WTC final as well instead of Umesh Yadav. But yeah, I think he played the test in Bangladesh as well. So I think in all likelihood, if they go by the pecking order is Siraj, Shardul, and Unadkat. The only thing is the discussion that we've had about Saini is because of the pace X factor. But yeah, I mean, I think judging by how the team is selected in India for a while now, I think they will go with Unadkat over Navdeep Saini. And Unadkat will of course do well. He'll be fancying these conditions, of course. He's a very, very good bowler. It's just that we are talking about an X factor pick for the future.
Yeah, next.
And also, I hope they don't see the number of right-handers as an excuse to not play Ashwin. Sorry.
Oh, you wouldn't put it past them. You really wouldn't put it past them. Right. So we're going to be doing the ODI and T20 series preview in those ones separately when the time is right. But I just want to finish with the boys. And of course, when we get to your comments, so keep your comments coming through. We'll just take all the best questions from Som and Nix. Will India win this series easily? All you guys are going for 2-0, at least in office, and I'm hearing rumors that it's going to be an easy series. Or is it, Nix? I'll wait for Som to think about it. What about you, Nix? What do you feel? Do you think it's going to be as comprehensive? Because it's precious points WTC, the third cycle?
I don't think it's going to be easy. More so because of the state at which both teams are. Both teams have a lot to ponder and answer with respect to how they go about it. West Indies have been good at home in test format. So it's not going to be easy against the four bowlers that we mentioned. And India in the recent times, I feel they've only had one of the top order click. So in one series, one top order guy clicks, in the other series, other guy clicks. They want the top order to come through together. You can't always rely on the middle order. What if Jadeja has an off series with the bat? So if that happens, do they have enough in the tank to pull off those 250, 300s at least? And then the bowling has a very inexperienced look. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of imagination. I think it'll probably 1-0 in terms of series margin if you want to look at it like that. And I think it will be closely fought. The side I feel who bats better will win the series.
Okay, so do you echo those thoughts?
Uh, I'll still go with 2-0 for India. And again, I have my reasons. India are coming from a heartbreaking loss. They usually play well after a loss like that, and especially a team that doesn't really ask a lot of questions. At least when it comes to the batting department, I mean, uh, I don't want to be too critical, but it's not a very scary batting lineup. And Nikhil has rightly said that the team that bats well will end up winning because these conditions will be helpful for the bowlers. So there will always be there something for the bowlers. But in terms of batting, I think India are favorites. They are very heavy in their batting lineup. Plus, almost every batter has a point to prove. There are a few oldies who are fighting for survival. There are a few newbies who are fighting for a career to just be there in the side. So when you have your top six, each one of them are fighting for their spot. Every one of them are carrying that extra motivation to perform, and at times that turns into something. So with that in mind, I feel India are heavy favorites to win this 2-0.
But should Indian fans really quickly temper their expectations going forward because it's in transition, so to speak, or no?
Oh, you were using verbatim from something that you have read recently. That's a
You know where
separate
I'm going with this.
that's a separate discussion, and I'm ready to have that discussion any day. I don't agree with it. It's not about tempering expectation. I think anyone who wants an answer to that question can just go and listen to Nikhil, Gurkirat, and myself speaking across those three episodes of how to fix things, because it's not about tempering expectations. It is not about transition. First and foremost, you need to define what are you transitioning for. Are you transitioning for to be a better test side, or are you transitioning to be just take one series at a time and win it? Because if your planning is short term, then you can't expect results in the longer term as well. Your planning has to be longer term. Who are your bowlers who are going to play test cricket? Ishan Sharma, even when he turned into a beast in test cricket, was never looked for white ball cricket, and that helped him. That prolonged his test career by a couple of years. In current era, I'm pretty sure that Ishan Sharma would have been picked to play in a T20 series. I mean, to be honest, what is Mukesh Kumar doing in the T20 team is beyond. I mean, it's unfathomable. And
Next.
to that happen the day after a chief selector is appointed is just heartbreaking. That even when you're fixing things, you're not fixing things. I mean, there is no. He doesn't have any credentials to be picked in this T20I team, especially when you are looking at him as a red ball specialist. You are overusing your bowlers to not, to assist their breaking down when it comes to an important situation. And then you go back and say that, oh, injuries are to blame. No, your planning is to blame.
Next.
Yeah, my answer is the same, no difference. I'm glad I'm able to use this once every video.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, it's been a riveting chat and a brilliant test series preview. Hopefully, the best cricket emerges more than the winner and all of that. And obviously, India win. Let's take some questions from the comments right now. And we'll start right at the top of the show because we've got some good ones from, like the names I mentioned, Chachant, so on and so forth. We'll start with this question right here. And it comes from Neural Hacks with Vasant.
I'll let Nikhil take this one. Yeah. You can
Okay,
read the
because
question.
I don't know if he's stoking a fire or whatever. I'll read it out for the benefit of the viewers. I think KL should be great fit for number 3 in tests. The way he plays should suit him with Gill and Jaiswal opening. So why not go aggressive and play Rohit at 3 Please share your opinions, guys. Next.
Uh, I think Rohit stays at top. He's done well, so I don't think there is a need to fix that. And you have openers. You have one at least Jaiswal who you think can make a good opener, so you can stick with him there. As I said, the call has to be taken with Gill. And you also mentioned KL Rahul when we talked about Gill. That what happens when KL comes back. So firstly, I think KL actually represents the problem that Indian cricket is having. That what they want. If KL Rahul, if Indian cricket knows that answer, KL Rahul, the metaphorically KL Rahul will also know that answer. That this is what I'm trying to be in terms of a Test batter, an ODI batter, or a T20 anchor basher, whatever you want to call it. Because he's done well under pressure in ODIs. So credit where due. So there is enough skill. We've seen that the anger and the here is where we need to trim our expectations, maybe because he doesn't know. So once he knows, we will be in a better spot to know that okay, whether he's going to be at your opening spot or a number three. So till the time we don't know how they are looking at him, I don't think it will be fair to call him into the setup at three. So in that sense, I hope wherever Gill and Jaiswal are picked, they stay there for a long time. I don't think Rohit's position should change. How much ever time he has in terms of fitness and how long he wants to play, I think he's been a good test opener. Let him play there.
Okay.
So here I have two different answers to this question. One is why fix something that is not broken? Your number three is broken. You're trying to find an answer to it. Rohit Sharma has been the best opener that India has produced in the Test team since maybe Virendra Sehwag. Murli Vijay, I know, came into consideration, but I think by now, with the amount of runs that Rohit Sharma has scored in different conditions, Rohit Sharma takes the cherry. Why would you change his spot when you know that he's there? The second part is, and this is what I feel, among Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane, at this point of time, Rohit Sharma is the likeliest to play the next WTC final if India qualify. Because there is, apart from fitness, there are no grounds for Rohit Sharma to not be picked for the test team. And let's say if, I'm pretty sure Rohit Sharma is not going to play T20 internationals for India anymore. No matter if he comes back and score 1,000 runs in the next IPL, which is not going to happen. Second, let's say if India transition from Rohit Sharma, even in ODIs after this World Cup, which they should think about it, because 4 years is a very long time, then 2 years, which is the WTC cycle. So let's say if at some point of time Rohit ditches ODIs or ODI, everyone ditches ODIs, the boards themselves ditch ODIs. Why can't Rohit just go on and have a lengthy test career? Because there is no issue with his technique or with his game or with his run scoring ability. The only reason Rohit Sharma has not played more test matches is just fitness. And if he's playing only test format, then he can work on his fitness to ensure that he's always available for the marquee events.
Yeah, Sagar Chandra agrees with you, saying Rohit's only possible cricket format post this ODI World Cup should be only test. Please let him open, and that's the only format he should play. Yeah. But so here's another one, and it's a dagger from Chachant as always. And it's something to just think about, right? When will people start questioning his captaincy in the international arena? He's an exceptional captain, don't get me wrong. But just to be devil's advocate here, how would you answer his comment?
Again, Nikhil.
Oh, he's thrown Nikhil under the bus first.
No, I mean, I'm happy to take it. I just let the saner minds work first.
I don't think firstly that we are losing ODI World Cup just as of now. I don't think there are enough signs to call it that. And to be fair to Rohit, in terms of captaincy, there have been a lot of things that you don't agree with in terms of their calls, their processes, and the selections that I've done. Maybe some of them have definitely not been helped by the injuries. The problem is the injuries have happened to three key personnels, three people who have probably occupied the most difficult spot in this setup. That you have been looking for a middle order spot since 2013, 2014. You're looking for a guy there. You got one, and now he's out of the system. The other one is injured. Your best bowler is now out of the system for a while now. So it is not going to be easy to replace them. They've tried and they have been desperate for a result, which is fair, which is something that we've spoken in the open. But I think this World Cup is where I feel you can then draw the line that, and you can probably include the Asia Cup in this cycle, that Then after the World Cup is where you take a call on Rohit Sharma, because you have to give him enough time to be able to be judged on that occasion. Because you saw a lot of good things happen under MS, under Virat, but they had their issues. I don't think Rohit and Dravid have taken care of them in true sense, but I don't think injuries have helped. Had they had people ready, or they felt that okay, this is the guy who's ready to replace Cage, they would have done that much earlier. But they've tried people, and they've actually over tried people at times as well. So as of now, I don't think it's just enough time to say that doesn't deserve to be Indian captain anymore. Take a call post the World Cup. If India, and here is the point, it's not about where they end up, it's about who they select in the 11. What is who are the names? What are the roles that people are given? That is a far bigger problem to answer than not winning just another World Cup. So if it continues to happen that you don't fix your middle order problem, you again are 15 for 3 and nothing happens, then you can go on to say that he didn't do anything that others have not done. So then is when you can take a call in. Till then, I think we can probably wait till the World Cup in terms of captain.
So,
Now, there are three aspects to this. One is, of course, the results, which, let's be honest, have not been in favor of India for a while now. I mean, apart from the couple of Test series wins in Australia and the drawn series in England, which, by the way, are massive achievements, results have not been on India's sides for almost a decade. Second is decision making. Now, since Rohit Sharma, I mean, everyone has spoken about the moves that Rohit Sharma and Dravid's predecessors made during that time. But I mean, the frequency of absolutely inexplicable decisions in this management is a lot, and it's almost to the level of being unacceptable. We can talk about the T20 World Cup where India just allowed KL Rahul to play the first over maiden without imposing the penalty on him, just dropping off the team, which they should have done ideally, or playing with 10 men, essentially not using Akshar Patel, the batter or the bowler. So these are, I mean, inexplicable decisions, like not playing Ashwin for absolutely no reason when you don't have your main bowlers. So there have been far too many of those. And third is the optics. Now, when you fail on the first two, you really have to work on your optics, which I feel no one who's watching Indian cricket has been convinced about in the past year or so. Even right now, World Cup is 3 months down the line. You don't even know your 11. If you go back to the 2011 World Cup, you knew the 11 an year in advance. The only switch was whether Yusuf Pathan will play or Suresh Raina will play. Apart from that, you knew the 10 men who were going to play for India in that World Cup. Right now, that's not the case. It's not because of the captain per se, but what I feel is, looking from the outside, and this is just looking from the outside, for the past year or so, I don't really see this team playing as a team, to be very honest. I think I'm harsh. There is no way to judge this. There's no way to measure this. That's why I use the word optics. In the current management, the optics have not been right. Whenever the team has taken the field, that energy that wins you championship somehow seems lacking.
yeah, and it's there to see in the results as well. We saw it in the World Test Championship. We saw it in the T20 World Cup, the Asia Cup, like the comment mentions here. So lots to consider for Rohit Sharma and Team India as they start another new series. They haven't been there in terms of cricketing action for a while, but we'll all be chomping to the bits. And there's a question which sweetly asks us, match timings, please. In keeping, I'll go with Ishan. So, Mr. Sharma, whoever you are, very sweet. And instead, I'll do you the benefit of showing you that schedule that we showed our viewers earlier. So there you have it. Now, test matches start at 7:30, sir, Mr. Sharma. ODI start at 7 p.m., sir. And the T20 start at 8 p.m. So 7:30 tests, 7 p.m. ODIs, and 8 p.m. T20s. All IST, by the way. So I hope this helps you.
And you can always download the cricket.com app to check all the schedules and timings.
I was just waiting for you guys to plug it in. But all you guys watching this right now, give us a quick like and final thoughts, boys, because I know we've spoken about a plethora of things. What are the other things we really want to tell our viewers? We're going to tell our viewers that we have a morning show for the Caribbean every time you wake up in the morning, 8 a.m. Do, of course, press the bell icon. There'll be some great reviews. We're going to be staying up all night doing stuff. No watch alongs for ODIs, but there'll be watch alongs for the T20. So that's amazing, given that the World Cup's in West Indies next year, like I said. And the ODIs will be doing our regular review shows. So lots to like on cricket.com. Subscribe, tell a friend. Some parting words, please.
Hoping for a good contest. It should not be a cakewalk for India, like it was last time.
Okay, and next,
At least the second test was easy. First test, I know it was still there was something in it.
Okay, next, is it deja vu in Dominica or port of pain for India?
I hope hopefully not port of pain. You'd ideally want a 2-0 win, but won't be easy. But very excited for the individuals because there will be a lot of hunger, as Somesh said. So looking forward to see that fire in the Babylon.
Oh, love it. We're all going. And look,
There's one liner that Nikhil actually almost ended up uttering. At times you have to baseball, the other times you have to crawl. He said crawl.
guys, look, we're funny, punny individuals over here. And we deeply appreciate your time, all of you guys, on this Tuesday evening. And Noodle Hack saying, I think West Indies will upset India. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're right. And we'll have a cracking tour ahead. That's all we have time for on this cricket.com live. Give us a like if you're watching it tomorrow, whenever. So till the next time, it's a goodbye from me, Avnish Hegde, Somesh Agarwal, and of course, Nikhil Pota.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye.